Hello, Chris Green here with the Flood Insurance Guru, and today we're talking about 5 benefits of private flood insurance. So today, let's start with benefit 1. And we're talking about coverages above that $250,000 limit on residential. This can be huge. So what would be the benefit here to you as a property? Well, let's imagine you have a property here on the lake. It's a 4,000 square foot house. Obviously, you're not going to be able to build this thing for $250,000, right? But if you had a policy through the National Flood Insurance Program, $250,000 is all you're getting. But a private flood policy may give you $500,000. As you can imagine, a financial recovery after a flood, that could be big. What if your property was a total loss? Like we've seen multiple people on the lake here have. That extra money above that $250,000 can be a huge benefit. So it's important to understand that getting above that $250,000 is important to closing the gap on covering your property. So that's 1. Number 2, replacement cost of contents. Now this is very important. Easiest way to explain this as a benefit to you is think about this. Say you bought a TV in 1995 and that TV was destroyed in a flood. If you had a National Flood Insurance Program that offers contents coverage, you're going to get what that TV cost to replace in 1985. If you have replacement cost contents on your private flood insurance policy, it's going to give you the money of what it would cost to replace it today. The inflation, everything else, you can imagine, that can be a huge difference. That's number 2. Number 3 is going to be additional living expenses. What would be the benefit here for you? Well, let me tell you a little story about a property owner in Nebraska who had a private policy when the rest of their neighbors had National Flood Insurance Program policies. Those neighbors, when their house was flooded several years ago, they didn't have any kind of coverage for a hotel or an apartment while their house was being repaired. This property owner who had private flood insurance did. In fact, they had a hotel paid for 6 months. As you can imagine, that could be a big financial burden on someone as having to pay for that and pay your mortgage. Where's that money going to come from? So that's benefit number 3. Benefit number 4 generally is no resident surcharge. So what is this? The National Flood Insurance Program calls this the Home Insurance Affordability Act surcharge. So on a National Flood Insurance Program policy, they're charging you $250 if it's not a primary residence. They're charging you $25 if it's a primary. You see, most private flood insurance companies generally aren't going to charge you anything different because it's a lake house or a secondary property compared to a primary property. So this could be some savings long term for you. So that's number 4. Number 5 can be more accurate rating. What do we mean by this? Well, it means that you could be looking at hundreds or even thousands in a situation on savings long term because private flood insurance companies use different factors when determining rates. So this means many times that their long-term rate stability is much more accurate than the National Flood Insurance Program because of the technology that they are using. So these are the 5 benefits of private flood insurance. So if you would like to discover what your options are on private flood insurance, is private flood insurance a good fit for you? Click below to visit our website, floodinsuranceguru.com. Remember, we have an educational background on flood mitigation, which means we're here to simplify your flood insurance and helping you understand flood risks through education. Thank you.